Chosen one, what you are about to understand is not a coincidence. It is not an accident that you are here, listening at this very moment. The timing, the message, and the feeling pulling at your attention, these elements are part of a deeper orchestration. This is not just a shift in thoughts or feelings. What is taking place is a significant transformation. According to spiritual insight and testimony, it is believed that you are being prepared for something extraordinary, a divine activation that marks the next phase in your journey. You are being invited into something far greater than the surface of life might suggest. This moment may appear ordinary, but it is anything but. For those who have endured difficulty, mockery, or resistance, the convergence of struggle and perseverance has not gone unnoticed. Spiritual teachers and faith leaders often remind us that such hardships are not without purpose. They are shaping moments, laying the foundation for something transformative to unfold. The central theme of this transformation is spiritual alignment, a deeper connection between you and a divine presence. Some describe it as God entering one's life in a more tangible, controlling way, not merely as a belief, but as an active force. The language used is often symbolic, but the message remains consistent across traditions. A deep internal reordering, a call to allow the divine to move through you and guide your every step. This shift involves not just personal growth, but a called, complete redefinition of self. As the divine presence becomes more fully integrated, it is said to manifest in greater strength, wisdom, and clarity. Actions, thoughts, and choices begin to align with higher intention, resulting in a form of personal leadership that emerges from a place of spiritual authority. Many people have reported a sense of internal empowerment when undergoing such spiritual transitions. The fear, doubt, and limitations that once controlled their lives begin to lose their grip. It's not about perfection or a sudden disappearance of problems. It's about a change in how you face them. A stronger, clearer, more focused version of yourself begins to emerge. This transformation is not arbitrary. According to widely held spiritual beliefs, it is for those who have endured, who have been tested, and who have not given up. It is a sacred acknowledgement of readiness to lead, to serve, and to influence others not through domination, but through presence, grace, and power grounded in humility. When individuals undergo such experiences, others around them notice the change. It's not only internal, it becomes visible in behavior, communication, and even posture. The quiet strength they begin to carry becomes noticeable. They enter a room and something feels different. There is calmness in their voice, confidence in their words, and a steady, unshakable quality to their being. People often attribute this change to divine influence, a presence now guiding them from within. This new identity, however, doesn't come without challenges. Those who undergo spiritual transformation often encounter resistance from people who don't understand their change. The past, whether defined by failure, weakness, or ridicule, may be used as a reference point by others to question the legitimacy of the new path. Yet, transformation is rarely recognized immediately. It often begins quietly and gains recognition only when its results become impossible to deny. The spiritual narrative suggests that when God or divine presence enters a person, it is not merely symbolic. It signifies authority entering a vessel, wisdom replacing confusion, and purpose replacing stagnation. The very essence of your being is set to change. It is not about being better than others. It's about becoming more fully who you were always intended to be, historically and spiritually. We see this theme echoed across scriptures, spiritual teachings, and personal testimonies. Individuals who were once mocked, doubted, or overlooked suddenly became pivotal to the unfolding of a much larger divine plan. The shift in their lives was rarely due to external validation. It came when they accepted that the divine was not just around them, but within them, guiding them. From a spiritual perspective, this moment marks a calling and invitation to step into a version of yourself that carries divine authority. And with that authority comes responsibility, to act with wisdom, to live with purpose, and to influence others not through force, but through presence. The inner shift begins to manifest externally through resilience, through the ability to stand tall in the face of criticism, and through unwavering commitment to one's spiritual path. One of the more significant signs of transformation is the silence it brings to critics. Those who once laughed or judged often find themselves speechless when they witness the change. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about becoming so aligned with your purpose that others can no longer deny the authenticity of your growth. This phase of life isn't about winning approval. It's about walking in truth and authority. That doesn't require permission. Your past may include setbacks, failures, and ridicule, but none of these disqualify you. In fact, they serve as the very foundation upon which this new life is built. The greater the struggle, the deeper the transformation. And it's that transformation that will speak louder than any words ever could as the divine presence continues to shape your being. It influences every dimension of life. Your mindset shifts from survival to purpose. Your speech becomes more deliberate, your actions more intentional, and your decisions more aligned with integrity. This level of alignment often leads to the breaking of generational patterns and the setting of new standards for yourself and for those you influence. The process is deeply personal, but never private in its impact. The presence of divine authority within you will ripple outward, affecting relationships, work, and community. You become a carrier of a frequency that uplifts, strengthens, and illuminates others. Your presence itself begins to shift atmospheres, not because of who you are in your own strength, but because of the presence you carry. This transformation isn't necessarily loud or theatrical. It's often quiet, steady, and undeniable. People around you will begin to respond differently, not always with applause or support, but with an unspoken recognition that something is different. Something has changed. It's not just the inner confidence they notice, it's also the outward vitality. Many report physical shifts during profound spiritual awakening, increased energy, clearer focus, and even changes in appearance. These physical reflections are not always immediate, but over time, they become evident to others. This outward transformation reinforces the internal one, creating a whole life renewal. The spiritual understanding behind this is that divine presence, when fully welcomed, does not simply dwell passively within. It begins to take over the operations of your life, not in a controlling or manipulative way, but in a deeply guiding and empowering manner. Decisions become clearer. Intuition becomes stronger. Confusion begins to dissolve. That clarity is not just for you. It becomes a light for others. You are no longer just navigating your own path, but becoming a guidepost for those still searching. This is not about superiority. It's about responsibility. You begin to realize that your transformation is not only about personal peace. It's about being positioned to help others discover their own. The journey of being a chosen one does not mean that hardship ends. Rather, it means you face it differently. With divine presence guiding you, setbacks no longer feel like defeats. They become redirections. Opposition no longer feels personal. It becomes a sign that you are disrupting patterns and breaking through spiritual ceilings. There is a quiet but profound authority that comes when one is aligned with divine will. It does not seek validation. It carries peace. And when others encounter this authority, they may not be able to explain it, but they cannot deny it. This is the season you are stepping into, a season of alignment, authority, and transformation. What you carry is no longer ordinary. It is sacred. It is purposeful. It is powerful. As this transformation unfolds, it becomes evident that you no longer carry yourself the way you once did. Where there was once hesitation, now there is decisiveness. Where there was fear, now there is strength. And where there was confusion, now there is clarity. You are no longer defined by the voices that once spoke over you. You are defined by the voice within you, the one that comes from divine presence. That voice is what now leads your steps, shapes your path, and anchors your identity. In this transformation, your energy becomes more focused. You begin to withdraw from distractions that once consumed your time and attention. There is no longer a need to explain your path or justify your decisions to those who do not understand. You realize that those who are meant to align with you will recognize the shift without explanation. As the divine presence continues to occupy your life, you begin to notice that even your environment starts to change. People who once drained your energy begin to fall away. New connections form relationships that are aligned with your purpose and support your growth. This is not accidental. It is a natural consequence of elevation. When you rise, everything around you must either rise with you or release you. The deeper you go into this transformation, the more you understand that this is not about you alone. You have been prepared not just to receive, but to give. Not just to survive, but to lead. You are a vessel now of strength, of wisdom, and of divine presence. This is the moment where many step into the realization that their life is no longer ordinary. The path ahead is different, not necessarily easier, but certainly clearer. It is marked by purpose and guided by presence. The authority you now carry is not based on status or opinion. It is rooted in something much deeper: divine assignment. You have been chosen, not because you are perfect, but because you are ready. Ready to let go of who you were and embrace who you are becoming. Ready to release the pain of the past and step fully into the purpose of your present. Ready to walk with a strength that does not come from you, but moves through you. And now, as the transformation begins to take hold, the world around you will start to respond. The change will no longer be private, it will be visible. The shift will no longer be subtle, it will be undeniable. As the transformation begins to anchor itself. Chosen one. The internal shift becomes a new foundation, a system of divine order that replaces the chaos of previous seasons. Where you once sought clarity through external answers, now you understand that the deepest wisdom has always resided within. This is not simply about spiritual growth. It is a complete rewiring of how you move through the world, guided not by fear or confusion, but by divine intelligence. This intelligence does not come with noise. It arrives through stillness. In moments of silence, reflection, or solitude, your instructions become clearer. You begin to understand that many of the answers you once pursued externally through advice, validation, or approval were only ever accessible through internal alignment. This is the point where divine presence becomes not a concept, but a consistent companion. Your life begins to operate on a new rhythm. It is not the rhythm of hustle, comparison, or urgency. It is the rhythm of divine timing. What once felt delayed now feels precise. What once felt frustrating now reveals itself as preparation. You start to recognize that every detour, every delay, every denied opportunity was not punishment, it was protection. What was kept from you was not rejection, it was redirection. The clarity you now carry creates distance between you and environments that once felt familiar. This distance is not arrogance, it is awareness. When you step into a higher calling, everything attached to an older version of you becomes misaligned. It begins to fall away, not violently, but gradually. The conversations shift, the connections weaken, the routines dissolve. All of this is by design. Divine presence does not occupy space alongside disorder. It brings structure, boundaries, and clarity. As this clarity settles, you begin to understand your influence in a new light. Influence is no longer about visibility. It is about impact. You realize that power does not always require a platform. Some of the most transformative moments happen in quiet conversations, unseen decisions, and intentional actions. You become a silent force, a steady presence that uplifts others without needing recognition. People may begin to approach you differently. They may seek your opinion more often. They may observe your actions with curiosity or even admiration. This is not a result of ego. It is a reflection of authority. When divine presence governs your being, others respond to it, even if they cannot explain why. You are not just carrying insight. You are carrying evidence. Your life becomes a testimony, not in dramatic claims, but in quiet consistency. You become reliable, not because you never struggle, but because you remain grounded. You don't speak the loudest, but your words carry weight. You don't chase opportunities, but doors begin to open. This level of spiritual positioning is not temporary. It is sustainable, but only through intentional practice. Daily alignment becomes non-negotiable. You begin to treat your time, energy, and attention as sacred. You no longer give freely to what doesn't nourish your path. Every yes is intentional. Every no is protective. The shift also redefines how you handle conflict. Where you once reacted, now you respond. Where you once defended, now you discern. Silence becomes a tool. Distance becomes a boundary. You are not running from difficulty. You are prioritizing peace. And in that peace, your discernment sharpens. You see through manipulation. You feel hidden agendas. You know when to engage and when to withdraw. This is divine intelligence in practice. With this wisdom also comes a refining of your assignments. You are no longer scattered in your energy. You focus on what matters. You stop trying to fix what was never yours to heal. You release the need to convince, correct, or carry others who are not ready. Your responsibility is no longer to pull others forward. It is to stand where you are meant to stand and allow your example to lead. This is where leadership is redefined. Leadership is no longer about being followed. It is about being rooted. When you are rooted, you become a pillar. For others, you hold your space. You offer presence, not pressure. You create safety, not control. And from that safety, others begin to awaken. To not because you told them, but because you embodied the truth. It is in this embodiment that true authority is revealed. You are no longer explaining your purpose, you are living it. You are no longer debating your value, you are expressing it. You are no longer waiting for approval, you are aligned with assignment. This alignment naturally draws new relationships into your life. Connections that are based on frequency, not familiarity. People who are not just impressed by your transformation, but who speak the same spiritual language. These relationships are not built on drama or nostalgia. They are built on mutual respect, shared growth, and aligned purpose. The right people will recognize your energy not for how loud it is, but for how true it is. They will not try to change you or compete with you. They will honor your journey and protect your peace. These connections are rare, but they are real. And when they arrive, they reinforce the fact that you are not alone in this path. As you settle into this new space, you may feel a deeper call to create. This creation may not be tied to career or achievement. It may be an internal expression of your values. You begin to build systems, routines, or projects that reflect a new version of yourself. These creations become sacred extensions of your purpose. They are not rushed. They are not designed to impress. They are built with intention. The divine presence within you now expresses itself not only in how you think or speak, but in how you build, serve, and lead. Your work becomes more aligned, your influence more grounded, and your vision more expansive. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable, not because of ego, but because of clarity. You now understand that you were never meant to do everything. You were meant to do what is aligned. And when you move in alignment, what is yours begins to move toward you. This is not law of attraction, it is divine orchestration. The people who once dismissed you may try to re-enter your life. They may not understand your boundaries. They may not respect your silence, but your role is not to explain. It is to remain aligned. When the presence within you becomes undeniable, those who once questioned you will begin to see the truth, not through your arguments, but through your consistency. This journey is not without sacrifice. You will lose some things. You will outgrow some relationships. You will walk away from some opportunities. But what you gain is far greater. You gain peace. You gain clarity. You gain alignment. And with alignment comes acceleration. What once took years now happens in moments, not because you rushed, but because you aligned. Divine timing is not random. It is precise, and you are now living in that precision. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was necessary. Without it, you wouldn't be ready. But now you are. You are not being elevated for applause. You are being positioned for assignment. Your life is no longer about survival. It is about service. It is about being a vessel, a guide, a light dot, and in this light, you begin to influence without effort. You begin to lead without controlling. You begin to speak without fear. And most of all, you begin to live without apology. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present. Present with your truth. Present with your purpose. Present with the presence that now leads your life. Chosen one, this is your moment not to rise above others, but to rise into yourself, into who you were always meant to be, into the version of you that is no longer reactive, insecure, or unclear, but into the version that is rooted, whole, and aligned. This transformation is not just about you. It is about everyone who will be touched by your alignment. Every person who will feel safer because of your presence. Every life that will shift because of your integrity. Every space that will be brighter because of your energy. This is how divine transformation works. Quietly, powerfully, authentically. You don't have to force it. You just have to live it. Let your life be the evidence. You have been chosen not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. And now, you walk not with questions, but with certainty. The divine presence is not just beside you. It is within you. And from this place, nothing remains the same. You are aligned. You are assigned. You are ready. As you continue on this path, the most profound realization begins to settle within your spirit. Transformation is not a destination, but a continual unfolding. The spiritual awakening you are experiencing is not a one-time event. It is the beginning of a lifelong process where layers of limitation are peeled away to reveal a deeper, more aligned version of who you are meant to be. In this phase, your journey becomes less about seeking answers and more about embodying the truth you've already received. The time for questioning has shifted. What lies ahead is the application of clarity. You are no longer in a state of confusion or hesitation. You are operating from a grounded sense of knowing and internal compass that no longer relies on external direction to move forward. One of the strongest indicators of this new phase is peace. Not the absence of conflict, but the quiet certainty that resides in your decisions, your values, and your direction. This peace isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It simply governs your life in a steady, sustainable rhythm. People may not always understand it, but they will sense it. They will feel the difference in how you speak, how you show up, and how you choose to navigate life's challenges. As the chosen one, your presence begins to operate as a form of spiritual leadership. This leadership is not based on titles or positions. It is rooted in example, in how you live, in the consistency of your values, in the patience with which you walk through adversity. You're not just talking about change. You are becoming the change others observe and eventually follow. There is no longer a need to prove your worth or justify your purpose. The transformation itself has become your evidence. You have entered a state where your alignment speaks louder than any explanation ever could. You shifted from trying to convince others to trusting that those meant to understand will do so in time. There is power in that level of release. It frees you to focus on what truly matters. And what matters most now is not perfection, but presence. Remaining present with your journey, remaining present with your values, remaining present with the divine instruction that continues to unfold in subtle ways. You may not always feel guided in grand gestures, but the daily impressions, the nudges, the instincts, the inner clarity will never lead you astray. That is the divine working within you, moment by moment. This new alignment may also make you more protective of your energy. You may feel less willing to engage in empty conversations or environments that no longer resonate. That is not isolation, it is discernment. You are simply honoring what your spirit now requires in order to remain clear and effective. You are choosing nourishment over noise, and that is a necessary step in sustaining long-term transformation. One of the subtle but significant shifts you'll notice is how you handle silence. Where silence once felt like emptiness or disconnection, it now becomes your sanctuary. In stillness, you receive the next instruction. In quiet, you gain clarity. In solitude, you recharge. This is where the deeper layers of spiritual instruction take root. This is where divine presence whispers, guides, and affirms. As this guidance becomes more familiar, you begin to trust it more quickly. You no longer debate what you know in your spirit. You move with confidence, not arrogance, but assurance. And that assurance becomes your foundation. It carries you through decision-making, through relationships, through unknown territory. You begin to embrace your role as someone who carries light. Not in a dramatic or attention-seeking way, but in a steady, reliable way. You show up, and your presence shifts things. You speak, and your words carry depth. You remain calm, and others find safety in that calm. This is influence. This is leadership. This is spiritual authority rooted in humility. At this stage, you'll begin to see doors open that were once closed. Not because you forced them, but because you aligned yourself with the timing and wisdom necessary for access. What was once a wall becomes a gateway, not due to effort, but due to alignment. You didn't change the door. You changed the frequency with which you approached it. And that change made all the difference. You'll also find that resistance becomes easier to navigate. People may still question you. Life may still present challenges, but your response is different. You are no longer shaken by instability. You are grounded. You are rooted. And from that place of grounding, you move through obstacles with wisdom rather than reaction. Your internal structure has changed. You now filter opportunities, relationships, and decisions through a new standard. Alignment. If it doesn't align, it doesn't proceed. This makes your life more focused, more peaceful, and ultimately more effective. You are no longer scattered in energy or distracted by what isn't yours to carry. You are deliberate. You are intentional. As a result, you attract differently. People who are aligned with your frequency begin to show up. Opportunities that reflect your growth begin to find you. This is not magic, it's design. Divine design. When you walk in purpose, everything connected to that purpose begins to locate you. It may not always come like expected, but it always arrives on time. In this stage, your story also begins to carry new meaning. The struggles you faced become points of reference, not for shame, but for testimony. You begin to see how each hardship refined your character, sharpened your discernment, and deepened your empathy. Your past no longer weighs you down. It now equips you to uplift others. This is the ultimate purpose of your transformation, not to elevate you above others, but to position you so that your presence becomes a bridge for those who come after you. You are not just here to be blessed. You are here to be a blessing. You are not just here to evolve. You are here to extend that evolution into your environment. As you reflect on this moment, understand that what has shifted is not just your mindset, but your entire operating system. You are no longer navigating life from the same patterns, expectations, or beliefs. You have been renewed, and that renewal is not symbolic. It is functional. It is practical. It is visible. So now the responsibility becomes clear: to walk this path with integrity, to protect this transformation with wisdom, and to honor this calling with humility. The journey doesn't end here. It only deepens. And the more you remain aligned, the more effective, peaceful, and impactful your life becomes. You were not chosen for popularity. You were chosen for purpose. And that purpose is unfolding day by day, decision by decision, moment by moment. Let this be your confirmation. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. And now, the journey continues, not with fear, but with faith. Not with doubt, but with discernment. Not with striving, but with surrender. This is your moment to walk forward, not in haste, but in harmony. You are aligned. You are assigned. You are ready. If this message resonated with your spirit, don't let it fade. Take action now. Like this video to anchor your intention. Subscribe to join a global community of awakened souls. And comment, I am ready.